video I'm going to show you how to hold your brush pen, how to get the correct grip, and how not to hold your brush pen. So I'm going to start off with some small brush pens, and when I say small, I'm talking about the nib size. So have a look here. I've got a Tombow, it's a color one, a black Pentel, and a small black zebra pen. So if you look at the size of those little nibs compared to something like the koi, so koi pen, Sakura koi pen is quite a commonly available pen, and look how giant the nib is compared to the small ones. So here is a Tombow Dual, one of these ABT Dual pens, also large nib, and I've got a Faber Castell one as well. So Faber Castell's nib doesn't look that big, but the stroke size is pretty comparable to the larger pens. So if you're wanting to know more about the different pens and how they work and how you choose a pen, I do have a video for that, so I will link it up there in the corner. You can have a look, and I suggest you watch that before you watch this if you're not sure about the different pen sizes. Okay, so I'm going to be putting away my larger pens for now, and I always suggest that beginners don't start with big pens simply because it is quite a difficult thing to get right when you're starting off and you've got a pen that size. And I'm not talking about the barrel size, I'm talking about the nib size. So when you're working with a little pen, and I'll start off with the zebra and the Tombow because they are slightly smaller, and it's such a difficult thing to know because you know which is bigger, which is smaller. They look identical. In fact, if I look at very closely, the Tombow, the zebra, which is a smaller pen, actually looks like the nib, the end part is bigger than the Pentel, and yet the Pentel is actually a bigger pen to use. Okay, so starting off with a smaller pen, I'm going to show you the difference between writing with a normal pen and a brush pen. So my normal pen is just an ordinary Pentel, just an ordinary writing pen, and it has a little rubber grip on the end here, which the brush pens don't have. So what's nice about having a grip like this is it kind of tells you where your fingers should go, whereas the brush pen doesn't. So I'll show you how to work out where to put your fingers and how to hold the pen. Okay, so if you held a normal pen in a normal way, and when I say normal pen, it's any kind of pen that isn't a brush pen. So here's me writing my standard word that I always write. Hello. No need to change that now and find a new word. If I try and write that same word with a brush pen, and I've just gone and bought myself a brush pen and I don't know how to use it, and I pick it up and I try and work with it in the way I'd normally write, here's what's going to happen. And a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to do some nice cursive, and they do that and it looks horrendous. I didn't even loop that top one, but often that's what happens. And then they just think, wow, that looks shocking, which it does. And the main reason is not because of anything wrong with you, it's because you don't know how to hold the pen. So that's what I'm going to show you now. Normal pen, dropping it down, it would sit there. Brush pen, ideally should sit across there, kind of in line with your line. And the reason for that is that you want the width of the nib, the length of the nib, to be able to give you those nice wide downstrokes. If I held the pen here in normal position, I'm going to have this happening because the length of my nib is there instead of sideways. So in order to get the pen to be able to do that, I cannot hold it normally, otherwise I'd be holding my hand sideways. Or I'd have to work at such a slant, and there are teachers who teach like this, and they'll teach at such a slant, everything is kind of doing this, because they're holding normally and they can only do these crazy slants. So if you try and hold your pen in the way I'm going to show you, you'll find that it's much easier to work with the pen. You know, naturally, the pen will work quite nicely. So starting off, you're wanting your thumb across here and not there. Okay, so we don't want this going on here because that stops the pen from moving. You've actually clamped the pen into your hand. Bring the thumb out here, sideways, and allow the pen to sit nice and comfortably within the two fingers and the thumb. So moving it like that, you've got lots and lots of space to work nicely. You can do your upstrokes, downstrokes, you can do all your different strokes that you need to, compound strokes, etc. So I'm not going to do the strokes in this video, this is just on how to hold your actual pen. So the easiest way to work that out is to take two pens, pretend that they're chopsticks, hold them as if they're chopsticks. Obviously with chopsticks you hold higher up because you're working with big pieces of sushi, you need a lot of space over here. So if you are holding the pens like chopsticks, all you do then is move your fingers down, a little bit down like that. Thumb is still across here as if it were two chopsticks. Take out your second chopstick and your thumb is in the correct position for holding the brush pen. So down, up, all nice and achievable. If you're trying to do big flourishes, you're able to move your hand around. Look how much space I've got here. If I was holding my pen here, if I had two fingers up top like this, like a lot of people hold, very, very hard to get that flexibility. You can actually see I've got almost no flexibility within my hand. Quite a difficult thing to move your pen around. You can do it, it's just a lot more difficult. So here I would need to almost engage the entire hand instead of just having my fingers moving nice and comfortably. So this applies to this size pen. This is the little hard nib. This pink one here is the small Tombow, also hard tip. It says hard tip over there. It's a color one, but it's the same as the small Tombow Fudenosuke, the one with the navy blue barrel and the silver. Here is my slightly bigger Pentel. Pentel is just a bigger, softer pen. It'll give you a bigger stroke. If you're practicing, I would say even just practice slightly bigger. Just go 2 lines. This is Rhodia paper. The lines are quite a lot smaller than a normal examination pad or a school book. So this is actually a really nice size to work on. It's just extremely hard to find this paper in South Africa. Okay, so there's my thumb sitting across. Now again, if I try holding like that, look how difficult it is. I can do it, but it's definitely a very labored, very tight feeling move. Much easier to just do that. So if you're not sure about exactly where to hold, I'm actually going to draw on myself, which is nothing unusual. You've done a class with me. It's quite normal for me to draw all over myself for demoing. I've put 3 little dots here. The first dot is where I would hold normally. So if I had to pick up my normal pen, here's me holding the normal pen. And this, by the way, is called the tripod grip. It is the classic grip. I know a lot of people don't hold like this. They hold with 2 fingers up here. That is a whole other issue, because what you do is you completely tighten your grip. This finger doesn't do anything and you end up losing flexibility. So try, even if you hold like this, try and hold with your brush pen with your middle finger underneath if you can. Anyway, back to this. There's my dot. That's my normal grip. Okay. For my brush lettering, there is my middle dot, and it's still on the pad of my thumb. So here I'm holding with the pen kind of across like this. If you had to look there, there's my dot, there's my pen sitting nicely across here, and nice and comfortable. I'm still on the pad. I'm not on the joint. So that last dot, actually it should be over here. That's actually where the joint is. You can see the 2 lines there. So my thumb joint is in there. Don't hold it in the thumb joint, because what will happen is you'll feel very uncomfortable. You'll feel like you're grinding the joint into the pen, and that's actually what you're doing. So if you're holding out like this, your thumb is kind of, or even if you're holding over there, it's kind of pointless. It's just sitting out there. It's, again, limiting your space. You've got no range of motion inside there. So try and use the pad. So the whole pad of your thumb is there, but try and use the bit that's slightly further back. Try that and see if that works for you. Also, where to hold it on the pen, and I said I'll show you that as well. If you are holding a pen like this, here is your position, nice and comfortable, about 2 centimeters from the end of the pen, nice and comfortably on this rubbery grip. If I was using a clutch pencil, same thing, sitting over here, finger sitting there on the rubbery grip. A lot of normal standard pens will come with this slightly rubbery grip, so that's a nice giveaway as to where the finger should go. Brush pens, however, don't come with that. So if you're not sure, pick up your pen and hold it in your sort of normal style. You're wanting approximately 2 centimeters from the end. From there, you can flip to that chopstick position and hold like this. So once I've moved my fingers, I've actually got more than 2 centimeters like that. But you're wanting it to be comfortable. So if you go back to there, fingers on the end, about 2 centimeters, flip to here, it's a little bit more. If I do bigger strokes, I've got nice space to move. Thumb is moving comfortably across there. And at this point, I'm going to show you the slightly bigger pens, because a lot of you do only have the bigger pens and not the smaller ones, or you're wanting to move on to bigger pens and you're not sure how to use them. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the koi pen, because that's one of the most commonly available ones in South Africa. Here I'm holding exactly the same way. And I can do my nice thin up and my nice thick down. I can do my overturn very comfortably. Okay, holding there. There's my dot. My pen is slightly further back than that little dot because it is a bit of a bigger pen. I do feel like with these bigger pens, my thumb needs to be a little bit straighter. than if I was using a slightly smaller one. Here I've got the pen slightly further forward. Again, it's these minute little differences, and these are things that you need to find for yourself. These are just guidelines that I'm showing you. So here, if you look, I've covered that black dot where my hand is, and guys, I'm not suggesting you draw all over yourselves. These are just guidelines to show you. Here's me holding the pen. There you can see it's actually between the black dot, that middle black dot, and where the finger joint is. If I use my Faber Castell, which is a sort of medium to large size pen, this pen feels to me more like a small pen when I'm holding it. I'm holding it slightly further forward. This one has a lovely soft sort of, I don't know, like almost a matte feel to it. The finger sits really nicely on it. And it's a little bit narrower than the other pens, which is quite nice. Thin up, thick down. Oh, this is a squeaky pen. So here I'm holding beautifully and comfortably. It feels more comfortable than the bigger pen, but it gives me a big stroke. So here's my big Tombow. Same thing. This is a giant pen. I mean, just look at the difference between the Faber Castell, the Koi, and the Tombow. So the Koi and the Tombow are kind of the same width. The Tombow is wider. The Koi is not quite as wide, but they are still quite big pens. If you look at the Faber Castell, it's nice and narrow here. So if you're struggling with the size of this barrel, these are the Tombow ABTs. Really big pen. It feels quite chunky in the hand. The Faber Castell actually feels beautiful. It's a lovely, small, elegant little pen, even compared to the small pens. Look at that size difference. So you may well find that this pen is it fits nicer in your hand. Where it becomes deceptive is that you feel like it's a small pen. It holds as if it's a small pen, and yet it doesn't behave like a small pen when you write. So that's another mistake people often make, is they'll buy these little, what looks like a little Faber Castell, and they try and do small strokes. I'm managing there, but I'm having to go really carefully to get this small stroke. The pen is not that comfortable. You can see it. It wants to go bigger. So the pen feels like a small pen, but behaves like a big pen when you're writing with it. Okay, so then back to the Tombow. This pen is just giant, so you can hold it nice and loosely. If you grip this pen tightly, it's going nowhere. So if I over tighten my grip and I try and hold, and you can see how white my fingers are going there. If I try and do that, oh, it feels so uncomfortable. Up and down, and the pen saying, please just give me space to move. This pen almost demands a flexible hand, and that is why it's such a difficult pen for a beginner to use. You need to be very confident in where you're going with your pen and where you are needing it to be. Oh, that's a terrible downstroke. There we go, that looks better. So up and down. A little bit of a slanty one. What I find as well is I'm at the end of the pad here. I don't know if you can see. There's the end of my pad. So this is quite a thickish pad. My hand feels uncomfortable on the end. Be aware of that when you're learning. You are going to feel as if you need to move the hand in. So you see my stroke went a little bit slanty there. Your hand needs to be comfortable on the page. So when you get to the end of your page and it feels like your hand's falling off the end, you may find that you subconsciously tighten up and you try and bring the hand in. Just be aware of that and let your hand go comfortably off the edge of the page, or put another book there so that you create a nice, almost like a continuation of your pad, and then your stroke should be nice and comfortable to do. Okay, so that is how you hold your pen. If you try and hold like this or like this, you're going to struggle to get your strokes. So holding like this, which is a very common way of holding, and I do see it a lot in workshops and classes, and it comes from when people are holding their normal pen like this, and the middle finger is extremely tight on there. Very often, if they're writing, if you had to lift that finger up there, it's actually not doing anything. And you can test that. If you're a person who writes like this, start writing. Lift this finger up. See if you even need this finger. Is it even doing anything, or just sitting there taking up space? And this creates a very, very tight, very rigid grip. So when you're holding like this and you're doing your strokes, you can see I look extremely uncomfortable. It feels uncomfortable. And what happens is, coming down on a downstroke, I have to get the whole hand involved. And I can already feel tension here, tension across there. Quite a difficult way of holding. So if you do hold like this, be aware that it is going to feel uncomfortable, and you probably are going to start cramping within your this big pad over here. It'll happen quite early on. I'm even struggling just to do my upstroke. Oh, that does not look good. And it's because I've lost that ability to glide the pen up like this. So here when I do a nice upstroke and a downstroke, here I've got these 3 fingers, or the 2 fingers and the thumb working together. Nice thin upstroke, nice thick downstroke. No problem at all. Here, my index finger is moving the pen down. On these strokes, the middle finger is allowing the pen to move up. This one here, this thumb, is acting like a seatbelt, keeping the whole lot together. So it's keeping the pen in place without grinding the pen into the hand. Okay, so I do hope that that helps you. And this, I have covered it quite extensively in this video, but if you do a course with me, either online or a real in-person one, I cover all of this, and obviously I can then see what you're doing and I can help you with your own grip. So it's quite a difficult thing for me to teach on a video like this because I can't really see what your hand is doing. So try and take what I've given you, analyze your own hand. Look, even if you end up having to draw on yourself, I don't suggest that if you are worried about how your hands look. Start really looking at what you're doing. Analyze, where are your fingers? Is it comfortable? Feel how it feels. Feel if you're stiff within your fingers here. Often what happens is you end up with pain somewhere. Pain is not good. Pain is your body telling you something's wrong. So make sure that you are that you're aware of that, and then get that right on your basic strokes before you even move on to doing letters, and then your brush lettering should look amazing. Okay guys, well I hope that helps, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.